Hello students and welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Pooja Malhotra, Assistant Professor in Department of Commerce, Dayal Singh College, Karnal. Today we are going to discuss the topic promotions, transfers and separations in MNCs under the paper International Human Resource Management. After completing this module, you will be able to understand the concept of international promotions, its objectives and the basis. You will be able to understand the concept of international transfers, its objectives and types, and will also be able to know about the concept of international separations and their reasons. Now to start with, promotions, transfers and separations. These are some tools in the hands of MNCs to adjust the size of workforce in the organization in accordance with the changing situations. These may take place between jobs within the organization or in the subsidiaries at various international locations. Generally, the formal systems are adopted to ensure operational consistency and efficiency. As we have already discussed in chapter International Recruitment, there are four main approaches to recruitment for an MNC: ethnocentric or parent country nationals, polycentric in which host country nationals are employed, regiocentric or employees from regional countries, and geocentric or global approach. In these companies, the policies relating to promotions and transfers also follow these approaches. For example, companies adopting ethnocentric approach or parent country nationals will prefer to promote and transfer parent country nationals for top positions in their foreign subsidiaries. On the other hand, MNCs adopting polycentric approach will prefer to appoint host country nationals. MNCs adopting regiocentric approach, managers are appointed or transferred on regional basis. For example, within Europe. MNCs following geocentric approach will try to find the best persons irrespective of their country or religion. These are also included third country nationals. Now in the following sections which we are going to discuss HR policies relating to promotions, transfers and separations adopted by MNCs. So first of all we will discuss promotions. Promotion means advancement in job. It is an upward movement of an employee from current job to another which is higher in pay, responsibility, status and organizational level. Just shifting of an employee to a different job having better conditions and locations does not refer to promotion. The new job will include higher pay and responsibilities. Now, what are the objectives of promotions in MNCs? Promotions are generally given by the MNCs to achieve various objectives. The first one is to take control within the hands of parent company. Existing employees from parent country are promoted to top level positions in foreign subsidiaries. Top level decisions are dominated by parent country nationals. Secondly, to fully utilize the potential, skills and knowledge of the employees. Through promotions, employees are given positions that will be of greater value to the company. Next, to develop competitive spirit amongst employees to acquire skills and knowledge required by higher positions. Then, to boost motivation amongst the employees and to develop internal source of employees ready to take jobs at higher levels in the organization. Further, to utilize the expertise of the existing employees for international locations, to build up morale, loyalty and a sense of belongingness amongst the employees, to reward committed, loyal and deserving employees, to conserve proved skill, training and ability, to reduce job rotation, absenteeism and turnover, to keep the deserving and dedicated manpower within the company and to attract capable individuals. Now, basis of promotion. Every company including MNCs have to decide criteria of promotion while designing promotion policy. So different companies adopt different bases of promotion depending upon their nature, size, management and many other factors. Now seniority based promotions. Seniority means length of recognized service in an organization. If seniority is adopted as the basis of promotion, the senior most person in the lower grade will be promoted as and when there is an opening in the higher position. Japanese companies offer long-term employment and regular promotions based upon seniority. However, the same practice is not followed in its foreign subsidiary. Foreign nationals are not promoted to top management positions. Only Japanese parent country managers are promoted to top level management positions in foreign subsidiary. These companies have to face crunch of human resource talent at local level in host country because of absence of promotions for these nationals. They also have to face many human resource related problems in their foreign subsidiaries. The reason behind considering seniority as a basis of promotion is that there is a positive correlation between length of service in the same job and the amount of knowledge and skills acquired by the employee. Every employee will know in advance his or her place in promotion line. There will be no chance of biasness regarding promotions. So there are certain advantages of having seniority as a basis of promotion. First of all, it is relatively easy to measure the length of service and also to judge seniority. Secondly, it is widely accepted method of promotions accepted by trade unions also. Then there are no chances of biasness or favoritism or discrimination, and employees can predict their promotions, hence increases their morale and a sense of satisfaction. This system also reduces conflicts and grievances regarding promotions. It also reduces the chances of labor turnover. Company can fully utilize the skills, experience and knowledge of employees for higher positions also. MNCs promoting their senior employees to foreign subsidiaries can take charge and control of subsidiary in its own hands, and parent country nationals employees are well aware of the policies, mission, vision and rules and regulations of the company. So these are the reasons why seniority based promotions are generally adopted by the companies. Despite various advantages, seniority based promotions also suffer from certain limitations. For example, first of all, MNCs offering promotions to parent country nationals and not offering to local nationals of host countries suffer from various human resources related problems like labor turnover, trade union conflicts, lack of loyalty, etc. This method may discourage young, competent employees. They may look for other companies. It may not be necessary to have positive correlation between length of service and learning power of employees. They may not have that much of innovativeness or fresh ideas which are damn required for changing situations. Employees promoted without considering merit or their performance will kill the zeal and interest for self-development amongst them. Now the second basis of promotions is merit-based promotions. Merit means ability to work. It refers to an employee's skill, knowledge, ability, efficiency and aptitude as measured from his or her educational, training and past employment record. Merit-based promotions means most able person in the lower grade shall be promoted no matter how junior he or she may be in the company, as well as regardless of their socio-economic background. So American companies totally rely on merits for promotions. In countries like Singapore, China, UK, Australia, Germany and Thailand also, companies offer promotions based on merit. Promotions on merit base encourage the employees to improve their efficiency. Merit may be determined by job performance and by the analysis of employee potential for development through written or oral examinations or personal interview or other records of performance. Hence, MNCs following merit-based promotions will either promote their high-performing employees from parent company to higher positions in foreign subsidiaries or promote deserving local nationals from foreign subsidiaries. It will boost their morale and sense of belongingness to the company. So let's discuss some of the advantages of merit-based system of promotions. First of all, a company can utilize the skills of an employee in a better way at a higher level. Secondly, competent employees are motivated to excel and contribute to organizational efficiency and effectiveness. Employees are continuously encouraged to acquire new skills, knowledge, etc. for all-round development, and employees are promoted regardless of their socio-economic background, including country of origin, caste, creed, etc. Hence, improves the motivation and loyalty and reduces the chances of labor turnover. Now, in spite of various advantages, the merit-based promotions also suffer from some disadvantages. Like, first of all, it is not easy to measure merits. Secondly, techniques of measurement of merit are subjective, and many employees and trade unions distrust the management's integrity in judging merit. So, we can have a combination of these two bases, seniority cum merit based promotions, to overcome the demerits of adopting solely either seniority based or merit based promotions. Many companies adopt a mix of both. The most widely used basis of promotion combines both ability and seniority. The best policy would be to ensure that whenever there are two employees of equal seniority, merit should be the deciding factor in promotion. Similarly, where there are two employees of almost equal competence, seniority should be the decisive factor. Hence, a combination of both can be considered as a basis of promotion. Most developed and developing countries adopt combination of both. Now we will discuss transfers in MNCs. Transfer means movement of an employee from one job to another without substantial change in his duties, responsibilities, required skill, status and compensation. Job rotations and transfers of employees from one job, section, department, plant, branch or subsidiary to another at the same or another place where his or her salary, status and responsibility are the same help to develop different skills and experiences. However, constant job rotations or transfers can also result in low morale, disturbed career development and family life. Sometimes managements also adopt the practice of transfers as a tool to control the employees. The process of international transfer of managers is also termed as expatriations. Though the term expatriate means any employee working outside his or her home country, expatriates include parent country nationals and also third country nationals working in foreign subsidiaries. An opposite term to expatriate is impatriate, where subsidiary employees are transferred to headquarters. Research has found low presence of expatriate in Canadian and Western Europe, particularly in Scandinavian MNCs. Now we will discuss the objectives of international transfers. There are some of the objectives for which the companies adopt international transfers. First of all, to meet the subsidiary requirements. Changes at subsidiary level like technological changes, changes in volume of production, quality of product, reproduction policy or production policy, product line, reallocation of or reduction in workforce due to shortage or a surplus in same sections, etc., may demand the shift in job assignments in order to place right man on the right job. Companies go for transfers to stabilize employment in the subsidiary. Companies adopting ethnocentric, regiocentric or geocentric approach will transfer the employees from parent country or from other subsidiaries within the region or anywhere in the world working in the company's subsidiaries respectively. Second objective is to meet employees' request. Sometimes transfer is done at the request of the employee himself or herself. Employees may want to do their jobs at or near to their native place or country of origin due to the challenges being faced in the present situation, or they may need transfer to satisfy their desire to work under a different superior in a department, region or country. Third objective is to ensure better utilization of the employees. An employee may be transferred because he or she is performing well, and he or she may be suitable for some other location where his skills or her skills can be better utilized. The next objective of international transfer is to make employees more versatile. So, international transfers make employees more versatile. Employees can expand their capabilities. Employees are prepared for more challenging assignments. Next objective is to adjust the workforce. Employees may be transferred from one subsidiary where there is less work to another where there is more work. Hence, instead of layoff or retrenchment, they can be adjusted elsewhere. Next objective is to penalize the employees. Some MNCs also resort to transfers as a disciplinary measure to shift the employees to remote or far-flung areas. Next objective is to fill vacant positions. International transfers are done to fill vacant positions if they are lying in foreign subsidiaries, especially in developing countries where there is a lack of availability of competent or qualified local nationals. It may also hold true for developed countries where there is necessary to transfer specific knowledge and skills. Next objective is for management development. International transfers give international experience to the managers, which help in developing them for future important projects in subsidiaries, abroad or even within the parent company. Organizational development. International transfers build a network between expatriates and local managers and the company. Hence, it helps in smooth communication network between parent company and subsidiary company. Next objective is to solve the problems of subsidiaries. To realize and remove the problems of foreign subsidiaries, transfers of expatriates are done. The parent country nationals come to know about the problems of subsidiary and their root causes. Hence, parent country can take strategic decisions to solve these problems. Next objective is to bridge cross-cultural diversity. International transfer results in socialization of parent country nationals with local managers and the local culture. Hence, strategies can be built as per local conditions of the host country. Next objective is to ensure homogeneous practices. International transfers are done to ensure homogeneous practices in foreign subsidiaries as conducted in parent company. Next objective of international transfers is transfer of technical know-how and training. Employees are also transferred to transfer their technical knowledge to the employees of foreign subsidiary. They also train the local employees to accomplish the requirements of the company. It can be concluded from all this discussion that main motives behind international transfers are control, coordination, position filling, management development and organizational development. The motives may vary as per varying conditions. Other forms of international transfers. The main form of international transfer is expatriation, which has already been discussed in previous section. However, due to some barriers to mobility, it becomes difficult sometimes to accept international assignments. Hence, different alternatives to expatriation are available, which are. Now, what is impatriation? It is an alternative to expatriation. It includes transfer of subsidiary employees to headquarters for a particular period of time. It helps the subsidiary personnel to understand the workings of headquarters and also build up the communication networks. In this way, subsidiary personnel are directly inculcated into the corporate culture. Impatriation also becomes necessary if the knowledge and skills of subsidiary person are to be transferred to headquarters, which can be seen in case of transnational companies. Now the second form is training and teams. MNCs also conduct 1 or 2 week formal training program or courses for its employees working either in parent country or subsidiary country. The management trainees get updated with the organizational goals, mission, vision and values to a group of people at the same time. Employees also develop informal networks. Hence, training programs can also be seen as alternative to expatriation, as it can help to achieve shared values and build a network between subsidiary and headquarters. Teams can also be formed of people from different backgrounds and countries. They come close to each other and work on some project. It may last for 5 to 6 months. The purpose of these teams or task forces is to widen the scope of understanding of the company and to provide a cross-cultural forum to exchange ideas and work together. Our next topic is separations. Separations are the decisions that individual and the company should part. International separations can take various forms, which includes basically, so the first form of separation is repatriation. Mostly expatriate employees fail in their first foreign assignment, maybe at the initial stage or at different later stages. The reasons behind expatriate failure may be due to cultural shock or non-adjustment with the host country's climate and other environmental conditions, or due to non-adjustment with job demands or with behavior of superior or colleague, etc. For an example, a Japanese employee could not adjust with his superior's management style in Brisbane and returned to his country within 3 months of his assignment. Expatriates failed in their foreign assignments are debriefed and repatriated to their previous job in the home country. Sometimes expatriates who are successful on the job and have adjusted to host country environment, but due to non-adjustment of family members with host country environment or due to non-availability of educational facilities, medical or entertainment facilities, etc., they have to return to the home country. Second form is resignation. Employees in MNCs may resign to join some other company for better prospects. Or an employee can also join due to some personal reasons like female candidate marrying in some other state or country, illness or bad health of the candidate, or for any other reason. In these cases, resignation is voluntary. In compulsory resignation, an employee is asked to put his or her resignation to avoid termination of services on the ground of gross negligence of duty on his or her part or some other serious charge against him or her. Third form is dismissal or discharge. In case an employee is alleged with some serious charge like carelessness, dishonesty, willful violation of rules, unauthorized absenteeism from duty for a long time, inefficiency, violent and aggressive acts, false statements of qualifications or skills at the time of employment, etc., the company may decide to dismiss or discharge him or her from the services of the company. However, the company should resort to this measure as a last resort and with solid proofs. The employee should also be given an opportunity to be heard. The next form is death of employee. Some employees may die in service. When the cause of death is due to occupational hazards, company also give compensation as per the provisions of the rules and regulations prevalent in the concerned country. As a compensation, company can also hire spouse, child, dependent of the employee who dies in service. The next form is suspension. MNC may also suspend or prohibit an employee from attending work and perform normal duties as assigned to him or her. This is done as a serious punishment and is generally awarded only after a proper inquiry has been conducted. During suspension, the employee gets a subsistence allowance Once the charges against the suspended employee are serious and are proved, suspension may also lead to termination. The next form of separation is retrenchment. In case company is facing surplus staff or poor demands for products, or during recession period, it may resort to retrenchment or cutting down its payroll. Employees are generally given compensation for this retrenchment as per the rules and regulations of the country concerned. Employees employed last are first to be retrenched. Now, the next method of separations is layoff. When the company temporarily terminates the services of an employee due to some business reasons like non-availability of raw materials, breakdown of machinery, or any other reason which is beyond the control of the company, it refers to layoff. Employees are given compensation for the period for which they are laid off. Employees can be recalled when the layoff period is over. Layoff is a very expensive affair for the company. Hence, it should take every possible step to avoid the causes of layoff. Rather, company can resort to other cost-cutting measures like transfers or demotions, etc. An MNC may have to face protest against the layoff or retrenchments in the foreign country. Hence, it should take decisions after considering all other options. Now, we are going to summarize all our findings. Promotions, transfers and separations are some tools in the hands of MNCs to adjust the size of workforce in organization in accordance with changing situations. Generally, MNCs promote and transfer parent country nationals to their foreign subsidiaries. There are many reasons for this practice. For example, to maintain coordination between headquarters and the subsidiary, to maintain control in the hands of headquarters, to develop and utilize the skills and knowledge of employees, to give them international experience, to prepare them for future projects and for organizational development. Some of these employees succeed in their jobs at foreign location, while others do not adjust with environmental conditions of the foreign country, or maybe due to some other reasons. That may include family's non-adjustment or non-adjustment of employee with colleagues or superiors, etc. results into repatriation. Or due to some other reasons, employees may be separated or discharged from their services, for example, due to resignation, dismissal, death, suspension, retrenchment or layoff, etc. Thank you very much.